Then on fintech unicorn Razorpay, just recently the company said that they will be joining ONDC's ecosystem. We've got with us Shashank Kumar, who's the founder and managing director, to talk about that, as well as lots more about the company's journey, financials, and growth path. Thank you so much, Shashank, for taking time out. So first up, you've decided to join, the payment process on ONDC. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Yes, so as all of us know, ONDC is a very big initiative by the government to bring different kinds of sellers and buyers and connect them through various platforms, right? And for this initiative to be successful, you are literally building the payment trails, connecting various buyers and sellers who are not even on the same platform. So they might be on different apps or they might be on different websites, but you still need to ensure that payment process is functioning smoothly. And for that to happen, reconciliation is an extremely important process. So we have worked with ONDC on the RSP framework, which is the Reconciliation Service Provider Framework. And, Razorpay is the first payment gateway to join ONDC and provide reconciliation services. And these infrastructure pieces around reconciliation and payments, they are extremely important to prop up the platform and to make the platform successful. I think we are able to craft that partnership with ONDC and bring that confidence with the Razorpay brand that that most of the buyers and sellers and the platforms that are operating on ONDC can confidently partner with us and rest easy about their payments and reconciliation worries.
So, Shashank, just take us through the views in terms of, as you highlighted already, this is clearly going to facilitate ease of transacting. How exactly is that going to work?
Right. So today, what happens is, if you look at any shop or any kirana store, they usually interact with customers and they make payments happen, and then they can reconcile transactions at the end of the day. But in an ONDC environment, the same seller might be onboarded on multiple platforms, and through those platforms, there will be a different set of buyers that are purchasing items, and the sellers then have to ship those items. So what happens is, the buyer might be present on one platform and the seller might be present on a different platform. And this transaction journey from the buyer to the buyer platform to the seller platform to the seller is something that ONDC is trying to stitch together. So this is very similar to how UPI, for example, has disrupted payments, where UPI works in a four-party model, and similarly ONDC is also coming out with a similar kind of structure. And at the end of the day, when transactions complete and when money needs to be settled, all the platforms and the sellers need to ensure that every last paisa is accounted for, every last transaction is accounted for. And that is where they take the help of Razorpay as the reconciliation service to ensure that their data, their transactions are matching with the platform transactions.
Okay. Now let's take the clock back, Shashank, and talk about how the concept for Razorpay actually took shape. I understand that you and the other founders as well attempted to establish your own enterprise and discover that it was a really arduous process to receive online payments. So it's an experience that you went through yourself before actually starting out, and that's when you probably had your aha moment and the idea came about. Tell us more.
Absolutely. So I was working in Microsoft in US just after graduation, and my co-founder Harshal, was working in Slumberger, and we weren't looking to build a startup. We were just building a crowdfunding portal to help NGOs and different causes raise money through social media and through white workers, and adopt some modern ways of fundraising for social causes. But what happened, and we were practically building this as a side project, but not as a company or not as a startup. But as part of that initiative, we wanted to accept payments, and the option. And this is back in 2013-14, right? So we were asked a lot of questions like, are you profitable? Are you operational? Do you have a physical office setup? And many other things. And if you think about it, most of these questions, most of the SMEs or startups wouldn't have proper answers to. A lot of startups start out of college or start out of their parents' houses right? And they don't have 3 months or 6 months to wait to get a payment gateway. And that's the amount of time it took us to get a payment gateway account, almost 3+ months. So we thought that there's a significant gap in the market in terms of addressing the payment requirements of upcoming startups, of technology companies, and digital SMEs. And with India becoming more of a digital nation, this is something that we can address with using our technology background.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. Now, let's move right on and talk about what the outlook is when it comes to the annual gross transaction value. What's the target that you have in mind? What is it that you're currently clocking in?
So I think last year we had set a target of $90 billion of GTV for the last financial year, and we crossed that. So we clocked close to $100 billion of throughput through our platform, and catering to all the large and the mid-size and customers, as well as a lot of small sellers, that are present on our platform. And even going forward, right, I think Fintech is a very vibrant economy. It's a very vibrant industry, right? It's poised for a significant growth. There are certain estimates which say that Fintech itself will be almost a $2 trillion opportunity by 2030. So while we have grown at almost at a 75% jump in last FY in terms of our GTV and our revenue, I think we think that it's a long term, it's a long road ahead for us, right? And this decade, the next 7-8 years are going to be very important for the fintech industry, for the digital payment ecosystem as well. And there's a lot of work to do ahead.
Okay. Just let's have you run us through your numbers, because the net profit, I understand, on a standalone basis for FY22 was at about 7.3 crores, and that was a scale up from the 6.1 crores that was clocked in the year ago. What's the outlook in terms of your operational revenues, in terms of the profit number that you're likely to clock in for this year?
Right. So, I think on the profit front, we continue to maintain that, we are investing a lot in our, newer businesses around, newer banking, around the acquisition that we recently made, which is around EasyTap. So we are investing a lot in our offline payments business and bringing both online payments and offline payments on a similar stack. So given all this, I think we continue to believe that, our core payment business will continue to be profitable, but we'll continue to invest in a lot of our new initiatives and focus on expansion on those fronts, right? And as always, we are committed to ensuring that our customers can depend on us for all things related to payments and some of the financial software that we are providing for them. And this overall vision that we have to continue disrupting the ecosystem in terms of where the digital payments need to go for next 5 years, where digital banking ecosystem needs to go for next 5 years. I think we will continue to set India as a global example of the kind of things that we can do, right? Because fintech has been one of the growth sectors for India, and also the kind of things that we have done have set global benchmarks, whether it's UPI or different aspects of payment gateway. So we continue to be very positive on our outlook. And last year I think we clocked operational revenue of around 1,480 crores. I think we'll continue to maintain growth rate of 60-70% in the coming year as well.
Growth rate of 60-70%, you mean on a top line basis, or what is it that you're looking at? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Primarily on a top line basis.
Okay, and congratulations, because Razorpay is among the world's top 100 unicorns. You made it to one of 6 companies from India to actually be featured on Hurun's Global Unicorn Index list. I'm sure it was not an easy journey, a long and arduous one to actually get to this point. What does it feel like being at the helm of the company? What is the valuation that you're currently commanding, and what's the outlook here?
Thank you, Anna. I think we are truly grateful and proud to be part of this, right? To be part of the Hurun's Global Unicorn Index 2023. in some sense, it acknowledges the work that we have been already doing, right, and the impact that we have had on India's startup ecosystem and the digital payments ecosystem. And I think the recognition also is of a lot of hard work that that our people have put, our employees, and also the partnership that we have been able to craft with our customers, with the banking sector, and with the regulator, and all of that in some sense serves as the evidence of the immense potential that India's financial sector continues to have, right, for startups like Razorpay and for more and more fintech startups to come in future. So I think our journey continues. We are very grateful for the journey we've had. I think speaking on from a personal perspective, moving back to India, leaving behind a job in the US, and doing something for the country, for the ecosystem, right? I think it's a very fulfilling journey for us, and I continue to be very grateful for that. And at the same time, as I mentioned, we are very focused on improving India's financial infrastructure, enabling a lot more businesses to go digital and to achieve their potential. Right, we want to be there to say we'll be able to take care of your of your payment issues, of your financial software issues, and businesses can continue to become more digital, more competitive on the world stage, and continue taking India forward.
And you've got a lot of marquee investors on board as well, Shashank. Y Combinator, Sequoia Capital, Matrix Partners, just to name a few, even the likes of a MasterCard. Any more fundraise on the anvil? And if you could just walk us through what the outlook is as well in terms of having garnered these kind of investors on board?
I think we are, fairly well capitalized at this point. So I don't think there are any fundraising plans in the immediate future. And I think primarily, we still have a lot of cash in the banks, from the previous fundraisers, right? Our investors continue to be very bullish on fintech as a market, and on India as a market, and obviously very much behind Razorpay in terms of the potential that we have, for next few years. And the growth trajectory, that we have in mind. We continue to be valued at, about $7.5 billion, which is what it was as of last round. And I think, I think it will be some time before we think of, any next fundraising event.
Okay. I also wanted to understand from you whether or not the kind of slowdown that we're seeing, the funding winter, if you're calling it, where we're seeing layoffs across the tech industry, really in large numbers, is that hitting the business? What's your view on how you managed to remain unscathed and how you're looking at the overall startup landscape in light of this?
Yeah, the funding winter is very real, right? And it is impacting a lot of startups, in the ecosystem. It is impacting the growth plans of a lot of consumer startups in the ecosystem. So I think, we through various product innovations, right, and various things that we are building for not just the startup ecosystem, but the broader industry in India, I think we have been able to navigate that fairly well. But at the same time, we are fairly cognizant of the things around us, right? So we have increased our focus on frugality. We have increased our focus on being profitable, and we have tried to reprioritize some of the investments, doubling down on areas where we have a lot of belief, and pulling back from areas where we think the results will probably come in a 3-4 year horizon and not a 1-2 year horizon. So I think with some of those changes, I would say that we are in a fairly good position. Thankfully, with the investment that we have raised previously, and with the growth that we have had, we have always been very transparent internally that I don't think we need to do any sort of layoffs in this environment. And even for next year, I think we are looking at a fairly robust growth for raise an organization. Not just because of what we continue to believe will happen in payments, but also the potential that we have and the products that we are building for neobanking, for offline payments, our expansion in Southeast Asia, our investment in building out marketing and loyalty stack for businesses. So all of these things put together, I think I still have a lot of confidence in the ability for Razorpay to continue to grow, in the next few years to come.
Okay, you've spoken a lot about India's digital economy and how we're growing at a very hectic pace. How do you see the digital economy really picking up, and how do you look to capitalize on that momentum?
So, as we sit here, right, there have been multiple inflection points in the growth of the digital economy. We have had demonetization, which was sort of the first big event. Then we had the geo moment, which brought internet to the masses. Then we had COVID, which really accelerated digitization of a lot of SMEs in the country, and not just in the tier 1 cities, but even deeper in tier 2, tier 3 cities. So I think in the coming year, I see that digitization, digital economy, we keep going deeper in the country, and there'll be a new waves of businesses which have traditionally conducted their business with cash, with offline tools, more with in-person interactions. They will, as more and more new generations keep coming into the economy, I think we'll keep seeing that shift, that all the businesses, whether they are being proactive and by choice, or they'll be forced to move towards digitization, to adopt digital tools, to be more efficient, to leverage internet, to distribute their products cheaper cost, but with a lot more efficiency. And I think Razorpay is just betting on that phenomenon, right? And even if you look at it from from an economy perspective, India is predicted to be like a $5 trillion economy, in next few years. And there's some estimate that digital economy should form at least $1 trillion of that, right? And over time, it will be even more of an increasing percentage. So for that to happen, I think companies like Razorpay have to play a very sort of a backbone role in enabling businesses to transition, in educating them, in handholding, in supporting. And that's the role that we see for ourselves, that from a finance perspective, digital finance, digital payments, we should be able to craft that role and craft that story for the businesses in the country.
Okay. So apart from the payment gateway services, Razorpay has also ventured into the financial services segment. Tell us a little bit more about how business is shaping up there and what the outlook is in terms of growth plan.
Absolutely. So, we ventured into providing, neobanking services and payout services and payroll services in last 2-3 years. And put together today, we are serving more than 40,000 businesses, who are either using us for processing their payroll, or managing their marketplace payouts, or managing their vendor payouts. And a lot of startups, have benefited really well from some of these products. Take payroll, for example. It caters to all kinds of compliances. It enables businesses through one-click payroll execution, which used to be a big pain point for a lot of businesses, and now that is changing with digital technology and with the products that we are able to provide. And I think we continue to be very bullish on this front. So we continue to expect more than 250% growth year on year on our neobanking services. Similarly, I think we had a major acquisition of EasyTap in last 1 year, and that has been the largest acquisition that we have done. And with the belief that we'll be able to bring together online and offline payments on the same stack and provide a lot more efficiency, a lot more simplicity for businesses, right? I think our belief is that most of the businesses should be able to interact with their customers through any of the channels, whether in person, online, through social media, through WhatsApp, or through any other channel that might come out in the future. But they should have a simple way of accepting payments. They shouldn't need to manage the complexities of whether they are being present offline or they are present online or anything else. And that's the strength that we are able to bring together, with bringing online and offline payments on a single stack.
Okay. There have been those acquisitions as well that you alluded to, the fact that there was Izelian Technologies, CureLec, etc. Are there any more acquisitions that you're currently eyeing?
I think acquisitions, are very opportunistic in nature. They need to align well with our roadmap of what we ourselves want to do as a company. And second, we always look for people, entrepreneurs who are very, product and technology oriented. So in some sense, acquisitions are always some sort of meeting of minds, meeting of heart, for the company to be really able to pull that off. I think, in this current environment, we'll have good acquisition opportunities coming through, in the next 12, 24 months opportunities.
Okay, and also after the SVB failure, Razorpay actually swung into action, began working with a lot of banking partners to help ease the stress among startups. How did you do that?
Well, if you see some of the reports, the Indian startup industry has, or rather used to have, more than $1 billion of funds in Silicon Valley Bank, right? So when the bank actually went down, it really caused a huge panic in a lot of startups which are keeping their funds there. And most of them, were trying to figure out what to do, right? So Razorpay, given the knowledge that we have and given the customer base that we have, I think we were right in the middle of it, trying to help a lot of startups, with concrete steps on what they can do to move money out of Silicon Valley Bank, what their options are, and how we can ease out that process for them.
And you've also set up an advisory board, roping in the former RBI Deputy Governor as chairperson. What kind of perspective have you gleaned from him, and why that move?
Payment gateway as an industry over time has been, getting regulated. So we have become a regulated entity directly, with RBI. That aside, the scale of operations that Razorpay has today is really significant, right? And it compares really well to some of the, I would say, small to mid-sized financial institutions in the country who have been around for some time. But if you look at it like, Razorpay is still a young organization, we have a lot to learn. And I think, getting people on board who have significant experience, whether as operators or bureaucrats or regulators, to help us establish and go after the highest standards of corporate governance, managing our risk and compliances, and thinking about customer experiences, not just from a technical product perspective, but also from a financial services perspective and financial domain perspective.
Book or any podcast that you recommend?
I'll actually name two. There's Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, which I really, really love. And I'd also recommend Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography, My Experience with Truth. I think it's an amazing book, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs and founders should read that.
You are not the only one to recommend Shoe Dog. That has been picked out by a lot of our other founders. Do you have a mentor, and who is that?
Honestly, we have had mentors at different mentors at different points of time. Y Combinator has been really good mentorship for us. So there's Paul Bukai there, who was the founder of Gmail, who started Gmail and has later started his own startup as well. Who has been an extremely good mentor for us over time. I think Kunal Shah has been really great for us. He has been helping us since 2015-16, and has really guided us on many of the aspects of startup building.
Okay. Do you have any productivity hacks, something that really motivates you for the rest of the day?
I'm a very optimistic person. I just think that if I wake up with really good energy, then I think I'll have great time throughout the day. So I just focus on ensuring that my energy levels are very high. I don't think there's any hack around it, but it works well. And I think I would recommend probably for a lot of entrepreneurs and execs, as being the leaders, I think we have a habit of getting very busy with day-to-day stuff. I consciously try and keep almost 2.5 hours free on my calendar every day.
No, that is great, but I guess that, finding that time or acting that time out is always a bit of a challenge. Okay, so Shashank, your advice to the next gen?
I think being in India, I think it's a great opportunity. There was a time when I had graduated, and that was not very long back. That was in 2012. People used to just think of going to US as a default option. because that's where a lot of opportunities were. And even going back even more than that to 90s, I think a lot of engineers just thought of going to US as the only option that they had of making good. Today, I think India is that destination, right? If you look at globally, India stands out as a huge shining spot